Welcome to another High Ground podcast. I'm Stevie W.
And I'm Callum, and can I just say, if you absolutely positively have to listen to one podcast, accept no substitutes.
Nice. Okay. Ah, dude, you planned that.
Yeah, in case you didn't guess, this is our third Tarantino retrospective, which will follow Jackie Brown.
Yeah. You stumped me there. I know I actually had to say. I was gonna say, but it's all gone. You actually beat me to it. Two guys think alike. Hey. Yeah. Sorry, I actually, we haven't. This is when we do these things. If you're going in order, we went from making notes to not making notes, and I went back to making notes for this. It's been 2 weeks since I watched the film, but yeah, up until recently, as in last year, Jackie Brown was my favorite Tarantino movie. It's just love it.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because like a slight tangent, a related tangent, but I always think like if Tarantino's films were three children and I was the parent, there's always a favorite, a least favorite, and the middle child that no one bothers with. And I think Jackie Brown was like the middle child for me a lot of the time. Like it was kind of, I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of the one I thought, like sometimes I would even skip it if I was watching them in order. But then I sort of came to a point a few years ago where I watched it and I thought, wow, like how did I not like this film? Like it's fantastic.
For me, you say about middle child. Yeah, I totally see that. It was the only one of Tarantino's directed films that I've not seen at the cinema, and that was because I was in my final year at uni, and I never got round to it. And I still have no idea why I never got round to seeing it, because I should have, because the amount of crap I watched during that period. So to me, that's always the standout one, but it's
Yeah,
also, I mean, years after, I thought, I love it because Samuel L. Jackson is the star,
oh, he's horrible in
and
it. He's
yeah,
really awful.
but it's one of the first complete vehicles for Samuel L. Jackson. You know,
Yeah, because everyone sort of thinks Pulp Fiction, don't they, when they think of Samuel L. Jackson and Tarantino collaborating? But this is a great one
yeah.
for him.
This is where, I mean, he has. I mean, like the one you just riffed on, the AK-47 speech.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that speech as much as they know
I
the
couldn't
Royale with
resist it.
cheese. So
Yeah,
it's
it kind of reminds me of the Royal and Cheese one actually. Like just the way that Samuel L. Jackson delivers the lines whenever he does a speech. It's just it automatically like what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of elevates that speech to iconic
yeah,
as soon as you hear his voice.
because he's just good. I mean, you look at in Django Unchained. You hate
Yeah.
him. You hate him.
Oh,
And yet, when you watch him in Hateful Eight, you love him. But he's
yeah.
absolutely pure evil in Django Unchained. And in this one, he's just a fucking idiot. The character is.
Yeah.
He's not really. He's cold blooded, but he's not that really intelligent.
No, and I always thought I have a little sort of headcanon that his character in Django is a relative of Ordel's because he's so like sort of you know like you say cold blooded
Yeah.
and in Django it's worse because he's the black slave that is like the slave master as well,
Yes,
which is like I've been told historically they hated them even more than white people.
I can't remember the name, his character's name in Django, but he's the one that controls Candyland.
Yeah,
He is,
and it's
and
so subtle and sort of you're thinking, oh, DiCaprio's this horrible like slave owner, and you think, well, he's Jackson's slave, isn't he? Really?
yeah, because he's pulling the strings, and it's just brilliant, and Robert De Niro as his bitch in it.
Yeah,
I was like,
it
wow.
is. It's a film of sort of. It's a quite strange film because for Tarantino, it's his only, as far as I know, his only work that's based on an existing work
And
that he didn't
Django is
write.
based on something, but this is actually
It's
based on a real
oh yeah, like a
source.
novel.
Yeah,
It's his first adaptation, I think, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
because the book was called Rum Punch, I think,
there's
wasn't
Rum
it?
Punch,
Yeah.
and
Interestingly, the characters of Ordell and Lewis, so De Niro and Samuel L. Jackson, they existed in his books before this, so they were ongoing characters. And there was a film in 2013 called Life of Crime, and it was based on one of his other novels, and they're recast with other people in it. You know, it's not the same, obviously,
no,
but it's quite strange that that's related to a Tarantino film, you know, because usually they're sort of one shots, aren't they?
yeah. But I suppose if you got the rights and you can make it, you can literally, as long as you don't riff on the universe that's been set by Tarantino, you can get away with it.
Yeah,
But then again, if
yeah, you could. Yeah,
then again, I don't think anybody would be stupid enough to touch something Tarantino did because you'd only be compared to it. Imagine if someone came along and had the rights to do Kill Bill Volume 3 that wasn't Quentin.
yeah,
It wouldn't work.
you wouldn't bother, would you?
No.
Maybe if it was Robert Rodriguez, I would, but
Oh, yeah,
um, yeah, if it was someone that had nothing to do with him, or you know, at least with someone like Rodriguez, they kind of know each other's minds backwards,
yeah.
don't they?
I got it. It took me a while to, with Dust Till Dawn, the series, it took me into the second season to actually get what they were doing with it and
All
distance
right.
myself from the Tarantino Rodriguez movie to the Rodriguez TV series and the mythology that we were putting into it. Yeah,
Still
so
not watched that actually.
it's good. You've got to get yourself through season one, which is basically the movie. Then you get into season two and three, and it's like, wow, they should have done more. But it's brilliant. I really recommend it. But yeah, and I tell you, I always knew this was going to be. I mean, this is not in terms of iconic scenes and everything. This hasn't got the same oomph as Pulp
No,
Fiction, Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs. A lot of his movies, and I always thought when we were going into doing this is going to be the hard one of the retrospectives.
I think it was for me as well. Actually, trying to when I was taking notes as well, I was noting how different it was from a lot of his other stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe not stylistically, but like you say, there's not. You know, you can say like the the so and so scene from every film. There's a scene where you think, oh, that's that film, like specifically from Tarantino. But this one's sort of, I know it's like a love letter to blaxploitation, isn't it, for it?
yeah,
So you know, you've got like Pangria and Sid Haig and all those sort of people. So I think it's more of like it's more of a style this film than it is a substantial sort of. Oh, I remember this bit or that bit sort of.
yeah. I mean, I'm going. I'll be honest. With these silences, which that sounds like something out of Pulp Fiction. There's I mean, I'm going through my notes right now, and I'm going to be honest with this. And it's a lot harder. I mean, when I was actually watching this, making these notes, it's literally I'm writing what happens in the scenes and stuff, and because it doesn't have the impact of these other movies.
No,
I mean, the things that are the same is you got the soundtrack, you got the start across 110th Street, which at the start and at the end. We should say now if you're already this far in, which is it's nearly 10. Spoilers are in full effect.
they are indeed.
So
Yeah.
so you got that at the start and the end, and you got the Delphonics that repeats itself throughout the whole film. So you got elements like that which are pure Tarantino, but it just lacks the oomph of a Tarantino movie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I totally agree with you. The part where I did sort of think this is pure Tarantino is the soundtrack, like 100%, because it's in keeping with the theme, like it's all soul stuff and like Motown stuff and sort of that blaxploitation era in the 70s. It's all that sort of I think Pam Grier's even got a song on it, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I can't remember what it's called now.
I'm going to find this one out now.
Wonders of the Internet.
No, I'm actually cheating. I'm actually going on to Windows Media Player. Yes, I like Quentin Tarantino's soundtrack. Okay, I put my hands up and.
Oh, I mean, if nothing else, you've got to say the soundtracks are perfectly constructed.
Soundtracks are brilliant. I can't find it. This is what happens when you rarely use your media player. I think it's Long Time Woman.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think it is.
He does it's sort of like you need to have. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to gratuitously plug this again. The soundtrack to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a defining moment to me for him.
Oh,
Even
fantastic.
Even films like Jackie Brown, it's just you have to have it because it's Quentin Tarantino, and you have to absorb everything about him. And it's because if you like Quentin Tarantino, it's a character as well. So it's like James Gunn said.
Yeah, I've always thought the soundtracks were their own sort of entity as well. Like you that is one thing you do as well. Apart from the scenes, you associate particular songs, particular bands with certain scenes. I think as well, don't you? Like Little Green Bag from Wild Dogs and Big Dale from Pulp Fiction. It's all. This one I always remember Across 110th Street.
Oh yeah.
So it still applies in that way to the Tarantino sort of impact thing.
If I ever hear you're stuck in the middle of a review by Steelers Wheel, I do the dance. I'm going to admit it now.
Yeah, 100%. It always comes on at work, doesn't it?
Yeah. The amount of times I've done it, in my old job, it looked kind of psychotic.
Doing the Mr. Blonde dance.
Yeah. It's just... But that's the thing, this is what Tarantino does. And... I've got to say, I worked out Pam Grier when Jackie Brown was in production. She would have been in the mid-40s, but damn, she's fine. She's
Pam Grier's
stunner.
a great part of this film, actually, isn't she? Like, I can't even imagine it being, because there's a white woman in the book, and I just can't even imagine that. Like, it seems the role was made for her, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I like Foxy Brown, and I've seen Coffee.
Yeah.
They're brilliant.
Yeah, and Coffee. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of when you said it. Sorry.
And it's I was gonna say, you know what I would say? I was going to point out something. It just came up in my notes. I was going to point out I do these old school. I have it written on paper. I don't do straight from computer. The Kangol hats. The amount of Kangol hats they wear. Samuel L. Jackson and Pam Grier.
Yeah.
I go a bit. There was a hat factory where I went to University, Luton, and I remember around about the time and they had pictures of the characters in the windows. And so I just sharing a little memory with you from '98. It just stuck in there because I was thinking that would look cool. The Samuel L. Jackson one. When you see a
they may very well have been sponsored by Kangol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like Iron Man was sponsored by Audi.
Yeah. Another note I sort of go. Sorry about that. I'm just going into notes things. Ordell's ponytail.
Yeah, he does look kind of weird with a ponytail, doesn't he? Like I always imagine Samuel L. Jackson either bald or with the Jerry curl wig from Pulp Fiction, which is weird because I don't think he's ever had that ever again.
No.
But it just jumps out at me for some reason.
I thought, it's 90s, it's a ponytail. So...
Yeah, everyone had one, didn't
they? They did at one point, not saying anything. But ponytails were cool, because Steven Seagal had one, and isn't Steven Seagal still cool?
Not anymore, he's not. He was.
Yeah, I was said about the 90s and ponytails. This is the one. Oh yeah, with the exception of the period pieces, which Quentin's done. So you're like your Hateful Eight, Django Inglorious, Hollywood.
Yeah,
This is the one that feels really, really dated in the sense that you can tell it's 90s with the mall element,
yeah. I was just gonna say the mall. Yeah,
and there's a bit where Max Cherry. I'm just going to go into a tangent. You know when Max Cherry's going out the cinema towards the end, you never actually find out what movie he has seen, and I actually rewound the Blu-ray just I really want to know what film he's coming out of, because if it's important to the plot, and you know how important Tarantino is, film is art to Tarantino, and I thought that I was just curious as to what film it was. Find out.
well, I assume it's supposed to be set the year it's made.
Ah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
the
Is
date.
it?
The trial run that they do for
Yeah.
July the 1st, 1995. It comes up.
Oh, it actually says.
Yeah. So it's like it dates it
Oh,
as being
right.
1995. I wrote that
Oh,
down
that's
as a note just
interesting.
after the cinema scene.
I've
So
never
yeah,
really noticed that. That's well spotted.
yeah, because it's sort of like it does. It feels, it, around 1995 was the year. Earlier in that year, Pulp Fiction came out in '94. You got the Oscar in February '95. I think it's February '95. Although he should have got Best Picture over Forrest Gump. I'm just saying.
I would think, when there's a year applied to a film, it does kind of date it, doesn't it? I mean, I rewatched the Terminator the other day, the first one, and like the titles at the start are saying like, oh, in the future this and that happens, blah blah blah, and then it says here tonight in 1984 is where the fate of the human race will be decided, and you think, what?
But then again, in a science fiction film like that, you have to. So that way, when they go into the future, Blade Runner 2049, Back to the Future Part 2, Back to the
Yeah.
Future. So that's just ones off the top of my head.
Oh, it's like Escape from New York as well, isn't it? Where it says 1997.
Yeah, and this, it's yeah. Sometimes it's good. Then you get to go.
Yeah, sometimes I don't mind it with a film like that because it's not taking itself too seriously, is it?
Yeah. You look at Demolition Man.
Yeah,
It's like that was early '90s. It was like '96 or was it, or '99? Where the film set.
yeah. I can't remember when it was. It's weird as well because Predator 2 is set in 1997 and it was made in 1990.
Yeah.
I never realised until I was a lot older that it was actually futuristic.
Yeah.
But sorry about the tangent there about sci-fi, but
Yeah, but yeah, it's the whole. Go back to the thing with the shopping mall is what dates it for me.
yeah,
I mean, the
I
music
think the
doesn't.
malls change all the time, don't they? So although the only mall I've seen in a film that never seems to date is Dawn of the Dead. I don't know, it's because you don't see very much of them all. Whereas in Jackie Brown, it sort of like gives you a guided tour almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, but with Dawn of the Dead, it's a mall after hours, so to speak, because of
Yeah,
when the apocalypse and a shut mall is a shut mall, but when all the lights are on and you can see what's in the shop windows and everything, and it's
yeah.
but then it's a different genre, I suppose. But yeah,
Oh,
I do
yeah.
see what you mean about though Dawn of the Dead. We're talking about the original, aren't we? The Romero
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but then again, the fact that it doesn't date goes to show you what a great director Romero was, and how ahead of
Yeah.
the time he was. And yeah, I think yeah, that's a topic for another subject. How George Romero is underrated, and as a director and as a writer, 'cause Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, if he only made just those two films alone, they should be heaped upon the same amount he should be getting the same praise as other
Oh, yeah.
directors in the genre.
The director we're talking about right now is a massive fan of him, isn't he? So,
Yeah,
oh.
uh, Quentin.
One thing I do like about the mall scene, I must admit, is um, it's almost like you see both sides of the con,
Yeah,
if you like, with Jackie and Odell. I think it's almost like Tarantino letting us see the heist this time.
yeah,
Like 'cause we never saw it in Reservoir Dogs, and you didn't need to see it, but I think it's more like a sort of you can see what happens. You have to see what happens to get the con sort of thing. But
do we see it like three sides? Because I'm sure it's three sides we see it, or maybe wrong.
yeah, it's the cops and then Ordell and then Jackie, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you don't realise, like, well, you do, but they don't realise she's playing both of them.
And it's pure brilliance. But then again, you could also argue that was riffed from Pulp Fiction, because the Honey Bunny Pumpkin speech at the start and at the end are different dialogue depending on the perspective of where you're sitting.
Yeah.
And that's just because nobody sees the same thing the same way.
Or remembers it
yeah.
the same way, definitely. I mean, I think everyone always thinks they remember it perfectly, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think that's the way Tarantino riffs on that sort of selective memory, doesn't he? By having speech be different when it depends on whose perspective it's from.
So like the whole the famous one is like everybody thinks it's Luke, I am your father, and it's not Luke, I am father.
Yeah, or beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah. So it's but some silly little notes again. Yeah. That's what it. Ordell says at one point this is some repugnant shit.
In a way, only Samuel L. Jackson could.
Which is Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Like, before in the car at the end. Okay, this is real spoilers. Before Ordell shoots, he's having it all out with De Niro Lewis, and he's having it all out about why did he shoot Melanie and everything like that. Where you shot him just in cold blood because you was pissing him off was bad enough. But when he's having, there's a pause before Ordell pauses before he shoots him. These are friends, people that have done time together and everything, and he still, in cold blood, shoots him because he's all about himself. And of course, when he shoots, what's his name? Beaumont, yeah. It's the POV from the trunk, and the way the music, you hear the music, then it goes away, then it's. I love the way Quentin Tarantino uses music in all those scenes. I think that's absolutely superb, and how depending on what perspective you are, how you hear the music. So I think that's brilliant. And having his signature shot, when they open the trunk, as they say in America, or the boot. I think that's pure brilliance.
But I absolutely love that scene, like you say, that where you see them driving around the block, and like you say, you don't hit the music, fades out and fades back in, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Like, but it's done like a wide shot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on a crane.
Yeah. So I think I agree. That's a really great shot because you're just sitting there wondering, thinking, why is it still lingering? He must be doing something.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And what was it? A little bit of fun. Batman kills Nick Fury.
He does, yeah. Yeah, very true.
I thought that again, we are very into. I thought that was just. I thought that was brilliant. Cause if you look at those two now, it's sort of like you got the Batman, or the Vulture now. They're both MCUs.
Or the Vulture.
Yeah, they're both MCUs. And
or the founder.
Pardon?
Or the founder.
Yeah. And McDonald's, I'm going to rewatch that one. I love him, and I mean, I really love him. Birdman, he's, Michael Keaton is coming soon. Us two kissing Michael Keaton's ass.
Oh, again, I mean, we were just talking about him 10 minutes ago.
We were before this. We were actually going on about Batman. Yeah. Oh, Ray Nicolette is also in Out of Sight.
With George Clooney. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
it's Michael Keaton as well, isn't it?
Michael Keaton, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Robert De Niro's not the usual strong character he usually plays.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, that scene where he's killed, usually that's him doing that in another film, isn't it? I think that scene's very good, sort of. Reminds me of Scorsese a lot, actually, like the angles in the back of the car and not seeing the gun that he uses just hearing the gunshot.
Yeah.
I think that's very sort of gangster.
But it's the fact that you don't. Okay, but this is prior to De Niro doing all the comedies and everything. So
Yeah.
to actually have him play a character that's completely against type and be so superb in it is.
Yeah, because I mean, he's kind of dumb, isn't he? The decisions he makes.
Yeah.
Like banging his boss's wife. Well, not wife, but like partner.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
You know, and ignoring the fact that the bail bondsman is in the same shop as him at one point.
Yeah. He's. The split screen shot with Samuel L. Jackson, Pam Grier, and Max Cherry. We see Jackie. Well, you got the split screen shots, and where his gun's missing. So you got everything. Then it was revealed where the gun came from. So where Jackie borrows the gun from Max Cherry.
Yeah.
So split screen was a good use. So
Has he ever used that before or after?
I can't remember.
Sure for some reason, I'm thinking Inglourious.
Might have used it in Glorious, but it will because that's my least watched of the Tarantino movies.
Yeah, so that's your Jackie Brown for me, basically.
Yeah, I've still got it with the cellophane on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we're doing this series, I'm actually I've got to wait for the boss to because she wants to watch them with me, so I was looking forward to getting to Death Proof because she always vowed she would never watch it. So yeah, can't wait for that one. But yeah, this is the I knew going into this was going to be the hard one because we can't dissect scenes as much because there's so many memorable scenes and everything. But
I don't know it as well either.
No,
I think it's like it is sort of like going one at a time with it. Rather the other ones, I mean, you can't stop talking about like Reservoir Dogs. We didn't expect it to be an hour and a half, and
no,
like we still had things to say at the end.
It's a classic film, shot for shot. Reservoir Dogs, and to me, Jackie Brown is. It's a Tarantino film that's not a Tarantino film. It's the disposable one, I suppose you could argue. It's the fun one. It's I'm not saying that not his other films. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great piece of cinema. It's also fun, but it's a great piece of cinema first, rather than a fun film. Whereas Jackie Brown is a fun film, then a great piece of cinema second. So whereas even films like Death Proof, which is the exploitation, the B movie. That is a great film, then fun second, I think. But Jackie Brown is a fun film, then a great film. If that makes any sense to you?
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
So
like the artistic merit doesn't hit you till after you've thought about the film.
Yeah, and it's harder to. Whereas you have to be an active viewer when you're watching Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, just to name the first two, or Hateful Eight, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's with this one, you can just check your brain out and enjoy it for what it is.
I think it's not meant disparagingly in any way, but it's the least arty, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe behind Death Proof. So like, it's the chill out and have like fun and watch, like it's a blaxploitation film, isn't it?
Yeah. Plus, you're not looking for the dialogue superb still, but you're not looking for the words of wisdom. I mean, okay, of course you're at the AK-47 speech, but whereas if you could literally take the script book for Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction and just sit down and just go to any page and you'd have something that somebody would know.
Yeah, you could make posters out of the speeches, basically.
The only time you see speeches that you see is when you go to like if you go to any military show, Like the raw recreationist, and they've got all the stunts there. You can guarantee you're going to find a place that's got camouflage t-shirts and stuff, and black or green t-shirts with the quotes from the AK-47 speech on there. Yeah, but it's you don't. Whereas if you could go to like a load of other film shops and you'd literally find quote after quote after quote on the unofficial t-shirts from Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction, and everybody knows Royale with cheese, or you know,
yeah.
and
Or
that's
a
just
tip. I don't tip.
yeah. Oh, the Madonna speech.
Yeah,
It's all, but there's just not the same. But like I said, I'm not. It's not. We're not being disparaging to Jackie Brown. It's just that it's not.
no, not at all.
It's just not. It's fun, but not high art, like you said.
Yeah, I like another easy way I was just thinking of it was when I first saw it, I sort of went, "Oh, that was good," and then I didn't watch it for years. I put it aside because I was kind of like, "Oh, that was enjoyable." Whereas when I became a fully fledged Tarantino fan, I think you go through from the beginning and watch them all to see the progression. And I think this is the one where he sort of, it's like the bridge between the high art stuff that he starts with, and then he moves into the sort of the more entertainment based stuff. Sorry, like you go from this to Kill Bill, which is schlockier than the films. Then you go to Death Proof, and then you go back. You have like the mixture with Django where it's kind of exploitation, but it has the high art stuff in it. And then I think like he's come full circle with Hollywood.
That is that to me Hollywood. That's like and I'm not just saying because because you always tend to. There's a tendency to go for the last film that they've made to be the one that sticks in your mind.
Yeah,
But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great piece of filmmaking, and I will never forget how I felt the first viewing I watched. My first viewing going into it, thinking I knew the ending, and when the ending wasn't, because I was on the edge of my seat right through the whole film. Because
yeah,
I don't
I
do
was as well.
I don't do gore, and and I expected this really bloody ending. So I was literally my nerves were shot throughout the whole film. I got out of the cinema, and as soon as the film had finished, I said to the boss, that's my fiance, if anyone hasn't figured that out. I said to her, I have to see this again. So we went on day of release, which I think was a Thursday, and then we went again on the Saturday to watch it because I wanted to sit back and enjoy this film for what it was, knowing that I
Yeah,
knew that I didn't have to be waiting for something to happen. And when it did, the second time I watched it, I was like, I actually got the ending on the second viewing, and I was like, I get it now why they called it that, and the ending is superb, and it's still a film that, you know, dialogue wise, I'm putting Hollywood up there with the likes of Pulp Fiction because it is that bloody good. And I'm not detracted from the likes of Hateful Eight or Django Unchained. I mean, Django Unchained and Hateful Eight are superb films, and they're they stand up to Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. But
yeah,
but when we say these films, you can't say Jackie Brown in the same breath in terms of artistic, like we've been saying, and we're now repeating ourselves. But yeah, and
yeah. I mean, I know what you just said about Hollywood is exactly what I was thinking because I always think of it as like a Tarantino sleight of hand where the film's going in one direction and he's like a magician where he goes, "Are you watching this hand? Well, you weren't watching this hand. This has just happened." All his films follow that sort of formula to a certain degree, don't they? I mean, even something like Death Proof, where the girls get killed at the beginning, and then the next lot of girls, oh no, they kicked Kurt Russell's ass, and he's
yeah,
crying like a bitch. I've always fucking loved that scene. But it's that sort of subversion that he does so well. There's not really that much of it in Jackie Brown. I
no,
think the only way you get close is the idea that Jackie's conning everyone.
yeah,
But I know what you mean. Yeah, like there's none of that sleight of hand.
no. But it is. It's an enjoyable movie, and it should not. Compared to a lot of the other films that were out in that period,
Oh yeah,
it's still, and it's it's still one you have with pride in your collection.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his sort of less memorable films are still better than a lot of people's best.
Yeah, I mean, how many? Unless you're a complete cinephile, there's you can't say you've got every film by a certain director, but it's sort of like with Quentin Tarantino, you have to you have to say, well, if you love him, you love all of his work, because there'll always be something you can find in it.
Yeah.
And and like I said, I can't sit here and there's bits you don't like in his films. It can be, but I can't sit here and say, well, I don't like Jackie Brown. It's the film that, and I even feel the same way about after a little gratuitous plug for what you're listening to, the High Ground podcast. Since we've started discussing the likes of even George Lucas, I don't think there's a bad George Lucas directed film, one that I truly can say that I hate. Ones I don't like as much.
Yeah.
But if you, and that's me going off subject again, but more so with Tarantino. I mean, I was well into Robert Rodriguez as well at the time, and Robert Rodriguez has made some absolute brilliant films, but he's also made ones I would never want to have in my collection. Shark Boy and Lava Girl in 3D.
Well, I mean, point out a director who doesn't have, like I absolutely adore John Carpenter, but he's made some stinkers in the past as well. Escape from LA and Ghosts of Mars. Although I do enjoy that film a lot more, ironically because Pam Grier's in it. But yeah, everyone makes a bit of dross now and again. Otherwise, what's the point?
Exactly. You have to learn from your mistakes.
Exactly, yeah.
Why do we fall?
And the ones that sort of do say, "Oh, yeah, that wasn't a very good one," or "The next one's going to be better," you respect them more than you get these it's like special features now on Blu-rays. They're just fluff pieces from the studios, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, this film's great. Yeah, if you look how good this actor is in it. I like to see the ones where they're like, "Oh, that was a shit production. I hated it."
Yeah, you can appreciate a film more from that. I mean, there's a film on Netflix, or not Netflix, Amazon Prime or something. I can't remember which one. It's on a streaming service. Doomed, the making of the Fantastic Four movie. So you basically got a documentary about a film that you can't officially watch. It's on YouTube, and you still want to watch it, and that's how it should be. And that's better than, like you said, the fluff pieces.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's one I always remember is the documentary with Batman and Robin, where Joel Schumacher pretty much apologizes on camera for how much of a mess it was. And I sort of thought, well, you know what? Yeah, Joel Schumacher is a good director. But we just remember the fact that I suppose that was like a monumentally bad film that killed superheroes for over 10 years, isn't it? But it's sad when directors get labelled with, "Oh, they've got one bad film, they're shite now." No, that's just not the case.
No, if you like a director, you will still go and watch his next film. Give him a
shot. Of course, yeah.
Batman and Robin killed his career for a while, Schumacher's, so...
Yeah.
But, by the way, that documentary you mentioned, would that happen to be on the Blu-ray?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's just for you listeners, and for people like myself, who, when it comes to doing our Batman and Robin thing, which we will be doing somewhere down the line, just plug.
Mine and all that content. Yeah, no, if you've got the even just the standard Blu-ray release or the box set, it's on. There's a making of each one on there, and we've said this before, haven't we? Like, I find the production of films that were troubled or really, really complicated to make so much more interesting than like even some of my favorite films that are successful. I'd rather watch a documentary about Alien 3 than I would about Alien, because it's interesting.
Yeah. I completely agree on that. I do completely agree on that one, because you actually know why the decisions have been made.
Yeah.
We locked the director out the studio so that we could do our own edit, because we didn't like what he gave us. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unreal that things like that actually happen, isn't it? I mean, I'd love to... I think that QT8 is a great documentary to do with like if you want an overview of Tarantino's films, because it's never been really sort of like in-depth documentaries about single ones of his films, has there? I mean, there may be in the future, but it's just interesting all the behind-the-scenes stuff of the studios on that. About and how what's his name? Michael Madsen was saying about Harvey Weinstein acting really odd in that diner,
Yeah.
and you just think like, I want to hear stuff like that,
Yeah. But yeah, they have to distance themselves now because they financed a lot of his Tarantino's work. So it's
Yeah, that's right.
But they don't. They didn't know at the time. So
No, no. I mean, it's not anyone's fault, is it really?
no. But yeah.
I mean, don't get the impression like from this that we don't like this film, because we still love it. There's no disparaging comments meant. It's just, I think it's just honesty, though, isn't it? Like sometimes it goes the other way. You don't like to admit that certain films aren't as memorable as you think. Phantom Menace. But no, but back in the day, we were all like rosy tinted glasses, weren't we? So
Yeah.
I think when you first see a film, you think, "Oh, that's really good. That's great. I'm not going to say anything bad about it." But when you consider both sides of the coin, as we are doing, we're not saying it's awful. We're just saying not the most memorable one.
Yeah, I still. That being said, I mean, I still think as a fun piece of work. I mean, why I like it so much is that it is still a fun piece of work, and
Yeah.
It's not as memorable, but it's just
No.
a more accessible. I suppose it's the more accessible if you're someone that's passive uh, viewer. Which if you're a passive viewer, you're obviously not listening to this. Then something like Jackie Brown is a good gateway because Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction are arty, and
Yeah.
this is the blockbuster. I suppose you could argue this is the blockbuster, Tarantino's blockbuster, because Tim Burton, when he did Planet of the Apes, he well failed, and that's a blockbuster,
Yeah.
And that's Tim Burton doing a studio pick. So the fact that Quentin Tarantino can do a not a puff piece, but a film that is accessible and easy and more linear than any other things, and he can successfully do it, means that an art house director can actually, he is art house, can actually pull off mainstream as good as, if not better than anybody else.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect description. It's the one you could watch if you weren't a fan and possibly still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the others, you sort of have to be initiated, don't you? Even something like Death Proof, the way they talk and the way, like we were saying, sleight of hand in it, and that's all stuff you need to know he does. Whereas Jackie Brown, it's blockbuster. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So I think we've wrapped this one up.
Yeah, I can't think of much else to say, to be honest, and I feel bad, but I I don't want to start talking rubbish about you know or rabbiting on about other things because I don't have anything to say. So yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm Stevie W.
And Callum?
See you on our next retrospective, which we are now going into. This is going to be the fun one. We've got Kill Bill
Yes.
1 and 2.
Volume 1 and 2 in
Volume-
one sitting, I think.
They're totally different.
They are, yeah. Do you think we should do it in one go or separate podcast for each volume?
I'm two-parter. I think we need a two-parter on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Kill Bill Volume 1 coming up when we when we do it. So soon.
In the future, yeah.
Fairly well.
See you later.